Welcome everyone. My name is Aditi Mukherjee, and today we are going to learn how to write an ebook in 5 steps. That's what today's session is about. And but before we go ahead and start the session, I want to briefly tell you a little bit about me and a little bit about the organization which is conducting this. So as I already told you, my name is Aditi Mukherjee, and I'm an author of 3 bestseller books. I have been invited by Henry Harvin to do this session with all of you because there is a lot of interest about how to write an ebook. I understand that all of you must have been thinking about writing a book, and this lockdown has given you the opportunity, or some time in your hand at least, to be able to think through the topics that you would want to probably write. Or maybe you've thought about a story and you want to write it, you just don't know how. So I'm going to teach you that today. That's what this session is about. So before we start the session, just a little bit about Henry Harvin. Henry Harvin is an organization which helps students or teaches students or does courses on a variety of different platforms, including digital marketing and content writing and creative writing. These seminars are happening on a very regular basis. So there are a lot of the coordinators on the chat here. So please connect with them if you want to discuss or understand a little bit more about the courses that they're conducting. About me, a little bit about my profile. This is my profile. I'm an author of 3 published books. The first one was a historical fiction, and it was called The Last Mughal Warrior in Love. I have also written an Amazon bestseller, which is called Europe for a Bargain. It's a travel humor book and has been the top 10 for 3 years in a row on Amazon in the travel humor section. I'm also a writer. I've also written a literary fiction called Love in Times of Terror. If you look me up on Google, or if you do a search, you should be able to find more information on me. So I hope this session is fruitful to all you guys, and I hope, like I said, that we are going to be doing this session now. So without any more delay, let's just start the session. Okay. All right. So how to write an ebook? Now, one thing that I have always said whenever I speak at any platform, whoever I speak with, whether I go and deliver lectures at universities or whether I'm speaking at seminars, I have always said one thing, and that is, if you don't read, you cannot write. So I think the first note that you need to make is that you need to start reading. It doesn't matter what you read. There is no hard and fast rule that you only have to read classics, or you only have to read, a certain type of books, or books which will increase your vocabulary. It's a matter of you have to do this for as long as you can in order to build on your capabilities, and that's the only way in which you're going to be able to build yourself. So there are a couple of steps that you will have to follow in order to write an ebook. But just for your information, let me tell you that there are some. So right now, what we are talking about is typically ebooks. Now, what is an ebook? An ebook, I'm sure all of you know what ebooks are, but I'm going to tell you that anyways. So an ebook is a book which is available online. Now, I'm sure you must have seen, or you must have referenced ebooks on Amazon and Google, and also some of the internet archives where free ebooks are available. I want to tell you about some of these websites that you should definitely look at in order to access some ebooks. That will give you an understanding of how ebooks are, what kind of ebooks are available, what is the market of the ebooks right now. So some of these websites that you should look up in order to be able to access some free ebooks or the ebooks for reference. Those are Google ebooks. Please make a note, guys, if you want to. Then there is one website called Project Gutenberg. So that's one that you can use. Another one is called, and that's one of my favorite, it's called LibriVox, LibriVox, LibriVox. Let me actually put that up on the chat. LibriVox, LibriVox. That's what it is called. In fact, then there is another one called PDF Book World. Internet Archive is one more website which is good. Open Library is another one which is good. So let me just share this with you on the chat box right now. That should see, this is the list. For those on YouTube, also, for those on YouTube also, I'm repeating this information. So it's called, so some of these important ones that I particularly refer if I want to read some classics and I'm not able to find them in the library or something, then I refer to these websites. So Project Gutenberg and LibriVox, LibriVox, that's one. Internet Archive, Open Library, these are the different places that you can check. So I've put this up on the message also. You should be able to see it. If you scroll up your messages, you will be able to see it also. Okay, so that said, so let's begin our session. Yeah, okay. So this is what we are going to be covering today. We are going to be talking about what an ebook is, which I pretty much already did. I told you some of the free resources that you could use in order to reference ebooks which are already there. And then we'll talk about the 5 different steps of writing the ebooks and how to go about it. Okay, so you already know that ebooks is an electronic version of the print. Now, personally, while I would always like to have a book in my hand, in these unprecedented times, if you see, libraries are not open. You cannot buy books on Amazon or Flipkart, which you would otherwise do. You cannot go to a bookshop and buy a book. Right now, during the current situation, ebook is the solace for a lot of readers. So a lot of people who are addicted to reading are not able to find ways of getting their hands on to a physical book. I think ebook is the way to go for them. And with this, there's a difference in, or there's a shift in how people are going to perceive ebooks. Now, ebooks are going to be a lot more popular now. So if this is the time that you've considered that you're going to be writing an ebook, it's a great time to write it. Okay. Now, so what are the 5 steps of writing an ebook? These are the 5 steps which are marked here. You can see that. And you can see that these are the 5 different ways. So these are the 5 different steps that we are going to be using. I will help you in, I will tell you how to, step by step, each of these processes I'm going to be taking you through right now. So the first is obviously deciding on what is it that you want to write about. Now, just take a look at this, because I'm going to stop sharing the screen and you're only going to be seeing me for a while. Okay, so we were talking about how do you do how do you look up, how do you decide on what should be the on what topic should you be writing about. So if you see, it's actually pretty simple. And I will tell you how I get my ideas of writing a book. So I read a lot, and I read a lot of different types of books. The first book that I wrote, which was called The Last Mughal Warrior, and that was covered by a lot of the media. Now that book, when I started writing, it wasn't, just that suddenly I got the idea of writing a book and I started writing about it. It took me 2 years to write that book. And, another 6 months to find a publisher, and, the whole process of going through the grind of writing your first book and coming up with it. So in any case, I'm not going to bore you with the details of how I got published. But then let me give you a little bit about the idea of how I got the inspiration of writing my first book. So what really happened was, I was reading this one book by 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻, and there it was a historical fiction again. And there I was reading about Shah Jahan and his daughter Jahanara, and how all the brothers, Aurangzeb and Dara Shikoh and all his other brothers, were trying to fight it out between each other, And there was this one portion of the book where it spoke about Aurangzeb's interest in a specific woman, half his age. So so someone just wrote in the chat box that this sounds like a recorded video, but it's not. Dr. Vijay Nand Pujari. I'm glad I sound like a recorded video, but that's not true. It's not recorded, it's live right now. Okay, so again, let's get back to what I was talking to you about. So I was telling you about this, I read about this, I was reading this book, and I got really, really curious. And I wanted to understand how a person like Emperor Aurangzeb, if you know a little bit of history, he was one of the last Mughal emperors who held fort for 50 years. And after that, the British took over after a couple of, of his descendants who took up the after Aurangzeb, they came into the throne but couldn't last longer. Anyway, this is not a history lesson, so I'll get back to the session. And I kept thinking about it. I just couldn't get over the fact that a person like Aurangzeb, someone who's considered so evil, such a bigot, could actually be passionate towards a girl, or someone who's half his age. So I started reading up, and I read up everything that was possible about Aurangzeb. I researched for a good 1 year before I wrote a single word about of the story. And that's when I decided that, I just couldn't get the idea of Aurangzeb out of my mind. And that's when I decided I'm going to be writing a story about, Aurangzeb. And that's how my story came in. So the first step is always to figure out who, what is it? What is the topic? Which area you're going to be writing about? Now let's get back to the slides, and I'm going to share my screen with you again now. Okay. Okay, so here, so we are still, we are here. We are talking about choosing a topic and defining audience. Now, this is a very interesting thing, because everything that all the effort of your writing the book will culminate into two things. One is the topic that you have chosen to write about and who your target audience are. Okay, so if you see, so again, I'm going to go back. So a time and again, I'm going to go back with my own example, because that's the one that I think is closest to me knowing, So again, so while I was considering writing about Aurangzeb, I knew for a fact that the book is going to do very well. You know why? Because that is one character, that is one individual who is people are so curious about, that they are bound to read a book. And undoubtedly, that book was a huge, huge success. It was covered by media. It was, it was on the newspapers. If you look up, you will see that, in Deccan Chronicle, Asian Age, in Mumbai, in Delhi, all these places across all 6 different newspapers, this there was a lot of the book was a cover story. Anyway, so who was my target audience? Anyone who's interested in history, anyone who's interested in the 15th century literature of what happened in India, people who are, so that was my target audience. So again, let's go back a few steps now. What is the right topic for you? And you have to decide that. So for me, it was fairly easy because it came to me. I was reading a book. I got stuck with the idea. I started reading and researching on the idea. I just couldn't get over the fact that, I was obsessed with the idea of Aurangzeb. And that's when I wrote the book. I also want to tell you about, so that's about the historical fiction. Now, a lot of people will not be interested in writing history or historical fiction. A lot of people will want to write something which is, non-fiction. So again, if you see the slide right now, you will know that you can write an ebook, both. It could be a creative writing piece or a technical writing piece. Not really technical writing. Let's say more about, it could be either a fiction or a non-fiction. So let's I think segregate it like that. Okay. So the second book that I wrote is actually a non-fiction piece. That is called 𝒆𝒅𝒄𝒏 for a Bargain, and 𝒆𝒅𝒄 for a Bargain is a travel humor book. It was in 2016 that I was traveling across Europe with a group of Indians in a group tour environment. Now, while it was a great trip and I traveled across London, and then I went to Paris, and then Belgium, Germany, Switzerland. So while I traveled across all these places, I was as curious about the people who I was traveling with and their reactions and how they were, interacting with each other, as much as I was interested in the actual, surrounding and experiencing Europe. So that's when I decided that I was going to write a non-fiction book. Okay, now, and also I was experimenting with different styles. So originally, 𝒆𝒅𝒄 for a Bargain was an ebook, and I didn't even approach a publisher. I just decided to, give it a shot and make it as an Amazon ebook. And then I decided, okay, let me see how, if what response I get, and based on that, I would decide if I wanted to take it further. And then with the overwhelming response that I got for 𝒆𝒅𝒄 for a Bargain, I made a deal with a publisher, and then I got it out in a paperback format also. Again, let's go back to discussing about writing, the difference between a non-fiction and a fiction book. So fiction is any type of story writing. It could be either a romance or science fiction. If you're someone who likes watching horror movies or reading horror books, then horror is a genre that you can experiment with. Thriller, historical fiction, mystery or crime. A lot of us read detective stories. So that if that is something that interests you, then you can also write a mystery or crime fiction. In non-fiction, you could there are various genres also to look at. Of course, you can write an academic books. For example, you are an expert in a specific area, then that is an area that you could explore. You could write about history, science, politics, current events. You can even write about coronavirus, because that's something that's that's right now, and maybe you could do some research around it, maybe a story based on that. One thing that I noticed, by the way, guys, is uh, a lot of people right now, if you follow, so you have to be watchful also. You have to be watchful about what is it that people are reading and watching these days. If you, I'm sure, I'm sure if you have seen, I'm sure you guys watch Netflix and you're into, you watch these net series and all that. And you will notice that a lot of people are watching, movies on catastrophes, or are watching these new series which are on pandemics. So there's a lot of information that is coming out. So keep a watch on, keep track of what is it that people are watching and reading. So that should give you that should give you some insight. Now, I have a question by Dr. Pujari on the Zoom chat, and he's asking, what is technical writing? Now, let me go back to, let me share my screen again, and I'll give you an insight about what technical writing is. Okay, so here, so technical writing, in terms of differentiating between different types of writing, especially for an ebook, there could be two types of writing. One is the creative writing, which is more, again, fiction, and the other is the technical writing, which is a more formal type of writing, and which informs people about either a product or a service, or a specific area, or so if you are an expert, like for example, if someone is an engineer, then he can write a book which is something pertaining to engineering. If someone is a doctor, he or she can write in that area of expertise, which is his or her area of expertise. So if someone is a pediatrician, she can write about, or he can write about child what you call it, child health and illnesses. So that is what will broadly come under the genre of technical writing. So it is more in terms of, and again, technical writing will fall under the purview of non-fiction writing. So for the purposes of ebook, you have to understand that you will either write a fiction piece or a non-fiction piece. Now, if you ask me, where is the demand more? I will say both, because both my books, whether it is The Last Mughal Warrior in Love, which is a historical fiction, or Europe for a Bargain, which is a non-fiction, they sell equally well. And these are different, people who are reading it. So I might be, it basically depends on my interest area as a reader also. But if you ask me, both non-fiction genres and fiction genres have a very good clientele. And especially right now, if you see, people are trying to, because they're staying at home and they're getting so much time in their hand, they're trying to up their skills also. And as a part of upping their skills, non-fiction, reading non-fiction is something that is seeing quite a lot of jump. So yeah, that's my take on both the genres. Okay. So I hope I've been able to answer your question, and I will be taking some questions meanwhile, once in a while. So I have another question by 𝒂𝒂𝒒𝒄𝒎𝒆🏐 Srivastava on YouTube. Can an ebook have both picture and less writing in reference to word length? Absolutely. You know, let me see if I'm saying her name correctly. 𝒂𝒂𝒒𝒄𝒎𝒆🏐, that's right. Okay, so 𝒂𝒂𝒒𝒄𝒎𝒆🏐, just to answer your question, if you notice, again, it is a matter of noticing that you have to know that, and be observant that a lot of graphic novels are, coming up these days, and people are really, really reading. It's not, and graphic novels are just not for children. Graphic novels are for adults also. So if you, from that perspective, a lot of people are picking up books where the writing is less and there are more pictures and all that. So yeah, so I hope I've been able to answer your question. Okay, so moving on, I was talking to you about fiction and non-fiction genres. So the first step obviously is to brainstorm and decide. And I just told you how I brainstormed and got to the understanding of the topic that I want to choose. Now this is really, really the key of what you're going to be doing or what you're going to be writing, picking the topic. And sometimes it's a long process, but I hope, because you guys have already joined in to learn how to write an ebook, I hope you have some idea or some story idea in your mind that you want to write about. Okay, now, so this is the next step. You have to identify where your personal expertise lies in. So are you someone who is who's an expert in a certain area already? For example, look at this slide and it says, if you're someone who's interested in jewelry and already selling a product, then maybe jewelry, the idea of jewelry is something that you would probably like to introduce in your story. You could write, like for example, someone who either owns and runs a jewelry shop. He or she could write an entire story about a fiction story, and I'm giving you ideas right now, so feel free to make notes. So you could probably write a story about a diamond jewelry heist. You've seen all these heist movies and heist series on different channels, right? So you could write a story about that. On the non-fiction side, you could write about the types of diamonds and how to identify diamonds. So that's an area. These are again just ideas that I'm randomly floating. You don't really have to do take those topics up, but that's just something that I thought of. Okay, then comes the next step of researching. Now, you really, really have to put in a lot of research. Doesn't matter whether you're writing a children's fiction or you're writing adult fiction or non-fiction. Despite your expertise in the area that you are writing in, you still have to do your research. So while the second book that I was writing, while I it was more an experience, right? So I didn't really have to do any research. But then there were things that I really, really wanted to know a little more. So that's where I started doing my research on the different places that I visited, the different things that I saw. And I came up with so many things that I didn't myself know, that I also wanted my readers to know. So I put it in the nicest possible way that was that could be done. So you definitely have to put in a lot of research. In fact, for my first book, my research itself, and I think I already shared this with you, that my research itself was for a good 1 year before I even wrote a single word. Okay, the next step is that you identify your target audience. Now, I think all this goes hand in hand. You identifying the topic that you want to write, you thinking through a plot of what you're going to be writing, also in combination with who your target audience is going to be. Now, all these things are actually, they all go hand in hand. So you have to do all these things simultaneously. So, for example, if it is a mystery crime fiction, then what should be the age group of your target audience? I think anywhere between, the starting age group of 15 is going to be a good starting point for you to take. So, teenagers are your good starting point for a fiction book. Now, I want to go back to this slide again, so that for romance, I think both men and women, so these are just ideas that I'm trying to give you. How do you determine what your target audience is going to be? Okay, so that's why I'm using this slide one more time. So for example, if you, I'm going to come back to the questions, guys, that you are asking, but let me just finish this thought before, I move on to the questions that you guys have. So if you are writing a romance, for example, think through, who is your target audience going to be? Okay, I know it sounds very sexist when I say women are primarily your target audience, but men, of course, men also read romance. But again, teenagers between the age group of 15 to 35 is typically what you will your target audience for romance novels are going to be. If you're writing politics, look at the non-fiction category in politics. So if you're writing a book on politics, now I don't think, rarely are again, this is not a generalization of what people are, but again, if you still have to find out a target audience. So if you're writing an ebook, you really need to know who you're writing it for, because your writing style will vary accordingly. So if you're writing a non-fiction book, particularly in politics, your age group could be anything from maybe 30 or 35 up till 70 years, both men and women. That's something that you really need to know. Again, let's take another example. So if you're writing an academic book, for example, you're writing an academic book on, how to use Flash or something like that, which is more technical and computer oriented. Then obviously your target audience are college going students who are interested to know more about this. So obviously your language is going to be similar. If you're writing a science fiction or a horror story, then again, your target audience is going to be somewhere people, kids from maybe 12 or 13 up till, I don't know, 60, 65, 70, doesn't matter. I think it's a huge audience. Okay. So that's how you decide who your target audience is going to be. So, and one more step that you definitely must do is this is also a part of your research, okay? If whatever type of book that you are considering writing, look through similar books in the same genre and see what have people written. How popular are those books? Okay, I'm not saying get inspired. Do not plagiarize. Do not copy. That's an absolute no-no. I am saying look through to understand what other popular writers are doing and how have they written. What have they written about? That will give you a lot of ideas. Okay. One aspect of your book is going to be the USP. Now, what is a USP? USP is the unique selling point. You have to determine what the unique selling point of your book is. For example, again, I'm going to go back to my experiences of writing the first two and the third book also. In the first book, my unique selling point was Aurangzeb. The first book, which was called The Last Mughal Warrior in Love, is a historical fiction. Now, people who are interested in Mughal history, people who are interested in historical fiction, that's my target audience. But however, okay, it's about Aurangzeb, but it's not Aurangzeb's biography. It's about Aurangzeb's one peculiar segment of his life where he fell in love with a girl who was half his age, actually as old as his daughter was. So I think someone who is curious about Aurangzeb is someone who's going to pick up this book. and how his relationship with this woman led to his personality that made him so rigid in life towards many different things. That's the concept that I'm trying to explore in this book, and that is my unique selling point, which is also one of the reasons that the book was a huge success in the Indian market and abroad. Okay, in my second book, which is Europe for a Bargain, which is a travel humor and was about my travels across Europe with a group of upper middle class to, slightly, the upper strata of the society of our country, traveling along with them. And I had the chance to observe how the middle class of our country behaves in a different environment. And that's my USP. So you have to decide what your USP is going to be. Okay. Again, we've spoken about this. I want you guys to think a little bit about what I have just said. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will take a few questions. Okay. Some of the questions that I am seeing right now is what type of writing will be appropriate for blogging? Actually, I think that's I see the name as PIAL. I think that's a short form to some name. So whoever it is, I'm addressing you. This is on the Zoom platform. So if you are considering blogging, there is no dearth of topics. If you're someone who likes to review, then product review is a great way of starting to blog. If you are someone, so it could be a product review for anything. It could be cosmetics, it could be electronic gadgets, it could be even a review of a book or series on Netflix or something like that, or it could be any product review for that matter. Then you could be so one is that. Then if you're someone who enjoys traveling, travel blogging is a big thing. So if that's something that interests you, then that's a great thing to work on. A lot of I am seeing huge market for blogging in styling and fashion and health. I myself do a lot of running and participation in sports activities. I am a marathon runner. So I follow a lot of people on YouTube and a lot of bloggers who write exclusively on sports. And it's just not sports. It could be also about, just various equipments which are used. So it could be cycling equipment, so it could be equipments, watches, it could be shoes, it could be a lot of different things. I hope I've answered your question. Let me see if there are any questions on so I have a question on YouTube also by one Mr. Nishant Sharma, and the question is, how many pages according to you will be most suited for ebooks? Now, that's a very good question, Nishant, and I really want to answer that question. All my books are available on paperback version as well as in ebooks. The first book is actually a good 300 pages because it's a novel. The second one, which is a travel humor, is a very short light read, and it's 105 pages. One thing that I have noticed that my second book became very popular because it was a short and light read. So, that gave people the feeling of being able to read a book on a flight while, they were just traveling from one end to the other end of the world or going from one city to the other, and also get the pleasure and information and knowledge that they could derive out of reading a book. So while there are no hard and fast rules, and just for your information, guys, these days Amazon even allows you to publish one story at a time, which means if your story is like 2,500, 3,000 words, which is 7, 8, 10 pages, you can even publish that at a very nominal price. So you should explore that option also. I'm going to be showing you how to be doing, how you can create a book on Amazon, because that's a platform I really, really like. Again, there are various platforms, like Google Books also is another platform, and then you can use Smashwords and all that. But I just really like the ease of Amazon Kindle. And also it's one of the best platforms around. So personally, I prefer that platform. And particularly if you're trying to write your first book, maybe that's a great platform because it's easy to use and it gives you different options also. Okay, so another question by D on the Zoom platform. How to go and take it forward to which platform to publish the ebook to Amazon Kindle? I've just answered that question, D, so I hope that kind of answers the question. Okay. Okay. So how do you publish on Amazon? Someone has written on the Zoom webinar chat. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you guys one more time. And here you go. Okay, so we've spoken about how we, who our target audience is going to be. And so this is again about how you determine your demographics. So use the target audience to narrow down your target audience, and you will come up with, you will come up with the ideal personality of your reading audience. This is what that is about. So once you have your ideal audience in mind, you know what age group of people are they going to be, what are their interest levels going to be. So demographics, your target audience will have to, one is the physical demographics, like for example, which part of the country are they going to be from. So someone who wants to read a historical fiction, or you know, someone who wants to read a travel humor like the one that I have written, will typically be from the tier 1 cities, or like the metros, and the tier 2 cities like Lucknow, Kanpur, then Tirupati, these kind of cities. So it is both a tier 1 city and a tier 2 city. I'm talking about physical demographics here, okay? And now there is another segment to it, which is the behavioral demographics. Now, behavioral demographics is going to be about what are the interest levels, and we already spoke about it, but I'm just kind of reiterating it for you guys, that behavioral demographics is what are the interest levels. So someone who watches movies on historical fiction is someone who will also be interested in my first book. So that is what you have to keep in mind before you decide a target audience. And once you have the ideal audience in your mind, you should, you know, you're all set to write your first book. Okay. And so that's pretty much it. Again, so I know the fact that I'm asking you guys to concentrate on your buyers or concentrate on your readership so much is because unless you might have written a great book, but if people are not reading it, it's not going to take you anywhere. And at the end of it, there are two purposes why most of us want to become writers. That is, first is to tell a story that you feel so compelled to tell that you cannot keep it to yourself. You have a great story, you want to tell people about it, and that's why you want to write. Second reason why a lot of people want to become writers is because they want to become famous. That's the platform they want to be. That's the area of expertise they want to be known as. So again, unless you have readers, unless people are reading you, unless people know you, what is the point writing? And that's why you need to really, really know and concentrate on who your buyers are. So before we go to the structuring of the story, which is more in terms of editing and all that, I want to tell you a little about how to go about actually writing the story. I'm going to stop sharing my screen again, and now you should be able to see me. Okay. So you have the story idea, you've done your target audience research. Now you actually come down to writing down the story. This is the key. You know, there's a saying, write drunk, edit sober. So I'm not saying drink yourself to death before you start writing. The idea is whatever comes to your mind, feel free to pen it down. So write whatever is coming to your mind. Don't worry about language. Don't worry about vocabulary. Don't get stuck with editing. So after you've written the first paragraph, don't go about editing it. Forget editing. Forget about the language at that point in time. Just write your story. So also one more thing. If you are someone who's never written not written much, and you're considering or contemplating writing, I think the first step that you should do is write a short story or write a blog, and then maybe move on to a full-fledged novel or a full-fledged nonfiction part. Okay, so take one step at a time. Okay, a little bit about how do you write? So for example, if you're writing a fiction piece, then you should have the overall thought process in your mind. So you should know that, this is where I want to begin and this is where you want to end. Again, we will talk about linear and non-linear writing methodologies, but then just for your understanding, you should have a broad idea about where you want to start and where you want to end. And of course, who your primary characters and secondary characters are going to be. So a couple of things. You should have the broad knowledge of, or at least have some idea about how the plot is going to be. Second, you should have the character sketches of most important characters of your creative writing piece. In terms, if you're writing a non-fiction book, then you should have chapter by chapter segmentation of what your each chapter will consist of, so you're not repeating information. Okay, so that's something that you should have in place before when you start writing. So and then of course you have to finish the entire story. One important thing that I would like to tell you about how much to write. So typically I write between 700 to a good 1,000 words per day. I have a fixed schedule. I write every single day, no matter what it is, but I write. That's how I have built myself, that I write a certain time of the day. So I write in the mornings every day, and I read in the evenings every day. And in between, I do the other different, the various different assignments that I take up, or I go teaching, or I take up these seminars and stuff like that. So, but then I write every day. Now, one question is going to be, and I'm surprised I haven't been asked this yet, one question that I wanted to answer for you even before you guys actually ask me that question is, how many words are good to write every day? So I think anything between 500 to 1,000 words is what you should definitely look up at writing every day. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen again and show you, because I'm seeing a lot of questions around what platforms people can publish their books on. So I'm going to get right to it. So here's what it is. So here's so you've written your story, or your fiction book, or your non-fiction book, or your short story, or whatever you decided to go. So now, a couple of things while you are writing it. So use various literary devices. Now, I'm not going to get into details of what literary devices are, but then just to give you an idea, and I would like you guys to do some more reading and researching around it, make note of this term called literary devices and what literary devices are. So literary devices basically will help in enhancing the readability factor of your story. So it helps in using the right words. It helps in bringing a rhythm to your prose or rhythm to your poetry, or it helps you choosing the right words and the tones, the punctuation. All that comes into the idea of literary devices. Now, there are various styles of writing. For example, and I'll tell you briefly about all these different styles. So we have the expository style. An expository style and a persuasive style, this one and this one. These two styles are typically taken up by people who are writing non-fiction pieces. For example, an expository style is a style which explains. So any academic book, or for example, any political book, or if you're writing a book on coronavirus for all that matter, any of that will require an expository style of writing. It could also, a fiction piece, a short story, a prose, these all will take the narrative and the descriptive style. Narrative style is where you're narrating a story, where you're telling a story. That's where the narrative style will come into picture. Descriptive style is also the style. And guys, I am just giving you an introduction. So when the Henry Harvin, they do an elaborate course on this. So there is like a 4-day full-time course which will teach you what these specific styles are, and how can you actually use them in your writing. So if you want to get into in depth with that, then I suggest that you can take up their course and talk to their associates who are probably a part of the Zoom chat or the YouTube session right now. So you can discuss it with them also. But just to give you an idea, guys, and you can do your own research, of course, in these areas. So the expository style is more for academic purposes and non-fiction writing. The narrative and the descriptive style is where there are more descriptions. So for example, when you're writing a story, there's description involved. When you're writing a story, there is narration involved. When you are writing a blog, which you are reviewing, or where you are trying to sell a product, that's where persuasive style is required. For example, a lot of people are required, again, I know we're digressing a little bit from the core topic of writing an ebook, but just to give you an example, if you're writing a white paper report, if you work in an organization, if you're required to write a white paper report or a research report, that's where the persuasive style is going to come into picture. So these are the different styles. We are talking about implementing literary styles in your creative fiction piece and a non-creative piece that you are considering writing for an ebook. So you could use all these different styles of writing: expository, narrative, persuasive, and descriptive. And you can use various literary devices also. Now remember, I was telling you about the chronological, that we can write how do we write a story? The story could have a definitive beginning, and that could have a definitive end, and could, of course, it has to have a definite beginning and an end, but then it could be chronological also. That means, this happened, then this happened, then the next thing happened, and finally it finished. Or a lot of stories are written in non-linear format. For example, if you read my first book and my third book, the first book, which is the historical fiction, and the third book, which is called Love in Times of Terror, which is a literary fiction based on the 2008 November Taj attacks. So both the books have a non-chronological beginning. So they begin somewhere and then they go back and forth in time. Now, why did I do that? That's something that I want to answer. Okay. So again, what happens is, remember guys, you have to engage your audience in your writing. So whenever you're writing a piece, You have to make sure that your audience is as involved in your work as you are in writing it. A good way of doing that is the non-chronological, way of writing. Again, I'm not saying all stories have to be written non-chronological, because a lot of people get confused and do not like non-chronological writing style. So if you are someone who likes linear reading, one thing happens after the other in sequence, then that's something that I think you could you should stick to. But then again, the non-chronological writing is a very interesting way of getting your audience engaged with you. So that's something that you can do. I wanted to take up a question. So someone's asking, how about popular political issues? Can they be descriptive? So what should be the political critique, a book on political critique? What should be the style? So I think, again, I'm going to go back to the slide here. I'm going to go back a slide just to bring you back to the answer. I think a political critique could be both expository, and again, guys, it doesn't have to be any one style. It could be a combination, and most books are a combination of different styles. Okay, so it could be an expository and a narrative as well as persuasive, because you are trying to persuade your readers to believe in certain ideologies that you believe in, right? So that's something that you can use. I hope I've been able to answer that question. Okay, just give me a second, guys. Okay, so so we were talking about the linear and the non-linear story writing. So again, going back to what I was saying, you can use either ways, whether you're writing chronologically or whether your story is non-linear. See, there is no possibility of non-linearity in an academic book. So that I think has to be chronological. This is more this point, linear, chronological or non-chronological, is more it makes more sense if you are writing a creative piece. So I think that's what it is. So fractured narrative is the one which is called the non-chronological or the non-linear style of writing, where, so if you know that a lot of, if you observe, a lot of books have this back and forth style. But then when you're writing that, there is a trick in that. You have to be really, really careful so that your readers don't get confused and leave your book half the way. So you have to really make sure that if you're talking about past, then it needs to be in past tense. If the current story is in the present, then so the tense that you use sometimes can be used to differentiate between something that has happened before and something that is happening right now. Also, dates and places is a good way. So when you are actually formatting it, be very careful that you're formatting it right, so that the dates and the places are very prominently visible in the beginning, because there's a tendency for people to miss it and then they start to get confused. Okay, so that's how you can change between the narrative, the chronological style and the non-chronological style. Okay. Okay, one more thing. So a lot of stories, and this is not a very easy style of writing, which is called the framed narrative. If you guys have watched movies like Inception, you will see like there is this concept of a dream within a dream. A lot of stories are also written like that, where there is a story within a story. So that's called framed narrative. It's not easy to write, but that's a great way of engaging your audience. I think that's something that you can look up for. So you can do yourself, you can yourself do a Google search and find out what are some of the top stories which are written in the framed narrative style, and you'll get a lot of good options. The epic narrative narrative style. Now, we belong to the country which has some of the best epics. So a Mahabharata or a Ramayana, nothing goes beyond that. But some of the international epic narrations include the Iliad and the Odyssey, which is Greek, which is based on Greek mythology. And it's not very easy to read, but if you can get like a summarized form of it, that's a great way. But other than that, if you want to write in an epic narrative style, then just referring to the Ramayana and Mahabharata is great. That itself should give you great ideas. Okay, so we spoke about, obviously in the beginning itself, we spoke about that your story should obviously have a beginning, middle, and then end. Very typically, just like so, in your story, there has to be more often. Okay, someone just asked me a very interesting question again. What style is Chandrakanta? It's an epic story, Chandrakanta. So that's something. What style? If you mean in terms of expository, narrative, descriptive, then it's a combination of descriptive and narrative style of writing. I hope I've been able to answer that. Let me just check if we have any questions that. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one now. Okay, so this is how you write your storyline. One very important thing that you must remember about writing stories is typically, see guys, you have to have a protagonist. I want to tell you, all of you have watched Marvel stories, right? You watched, you've watched Spider-Man, you've read Superman, Batman, all these Superwoman, Catwoman, all these different Marvel stories that you have, you must have heard or read or at least watched. Okay, if you realize, now because I'm saying it, I think you will recall it now. If you realize, any Marvel comics or any Marvel story has these 5 different segments. There's an underdog, typically a child or a teenager or someone who's not doing very well in life. An underdog. That's who an underdog is. So an underdog who is put into a position where he has to take responsibility, and that's where the remember the great dialogue, which is with great power comes great responsibility. That's what I'm talking about. So an underdog who's thrust into a situation where he has to take responsibility, and he takes responsibility, and then he evolves as this person, who comes out as a great self-confident person. So typically any Marvel comics will have a protagonist. A protagonist is the hero, an antagonist who's the anti-hero, and there is a difficult situation that they are put in, that the protagonists are Superman, Batman, Spider-Man has to resolve. And then there is this great ending where typically they get the girl, sometimes not, or it goes on. So again, so this is just to give you a brief idea about how these stories are written. And most stories have this. They'll have a main character or a set of characters who will be in a position which is a complex situation which needs to be resolved. How he resolves it, that's the typical story. Alka Jain on our Zoom platform, she's asking, can a love story be written in a graphic novel format? Absolutely, absolutely. And you should see how some of these graphic novels are written. Alka, I suggest you do a little bit of research on that. And let me tell you, and I have answered this, I have mentioned this before, but I'm going to tell you this again, that graphic novels is the in thing. See, think of it from the target audience perspective. Think of it as you as an individual. Think of it that we as audience ourselves, our attention span has reduced to so less a limit that we cannot read anything beyond 2 minutes at one stretch, which is why if you see these days blogs and everything else, there is a every paragraph, after every paragraph there is a corresponding image or a video, and then there is another paragraph. So text and visuals come together to break the monotony. Again, the reason why I'm saying this is that's where graphic novels have become this popular in this day and age, and it is not limited to any age group. Graphic novels, which have integrated love story formats also, they are read by adults, and of course graphic novels is popular with teenagers in any day. One more question that is being asked is, what is the age group of reading these Marvel stories? So if you ask me, I think there is no age group. I know kids as young as 7, 8 who read that, and I know people who are in their 60s who still enjoy Marvel comics. So I think it's a huge target audience if if you're looking at it. Okay, let's go back to our screen. Yeah, here you go. So now we are going to be discussing on what are the common mistakes that people have. See, I'm getting a lot of questions about which platform we can publish it on, and guys, I am going to be answering that question. So please hold on to that. Let's just first understand what are the common mistakes that people make. So this is it. Now, so once you have written the story, you have to edit your story or edit your book as well, right? Now, I have noticed as a part of reviewing many books that I review professionally, that people make a few very common mistakes. And I will share with you some of the other common editing mistakes that you should not make. But these are some that you could make a note of. For example, the difference between their, T-H-E-R-E, T-H-E-I-R, and they are. So again, this is going back to the basics. So wherever there is an apostrophe, remember that it is a combination of two different words put together. Guys, all this, if you attend the the 4 days full session with the Henry Harvin team, they will be able to give you a better idea about, so all this is taken care of in their session. So while this is not about this particular, correcting common grammatical mistakes, it is done exclusively as a part of their creative writing course and digital writing course. So you should look them up in order to understand more. So just again, point number 4, I want to talk a little bit about. See, affect versus effect. Effect is a noun, and affect with the A is the verb. People get confused between that a lot. Between and among is also something. Amongst is amongst a group. Between is always between two people. How you use commas, syntaxes, that's very important. A lot of people make mistakes in this, so that's something that you should really be careful about. Okay, guys, one very important thing about your ebook publishing is the formatting which is required. Just for your information, and please make a note of it, most ebooks are published in the Chicago manual style. This is not written anywhere, I'm telling you this. So write this down, Chicago manual style. Now, Chicago manual style can be referenced in, you can look it up and read more about it, but it's the entire set of guidelines which will tell you exactly how to write, not just in terms of structuring. It will tell you about font size, the distance between two sentences, what should be the gap between two paragraphs, what kind of words should you use, what is the vocabulary, what syntaxes, what punctuation, everything is taken care of in that. So most books, fiction books, are written in the Chicago manual style. Most other books like magazines and all that are written in the API style. This is just for your understanding. Again, so there are various layouts. You can write in a fixed layout and you can write in a flexi layout. What I want to do with you guys is I actually want to take you through how you update or upload your book on Amazon, and I will show it to you maybe right after this. So someone was asking this question, and repeatedly I have been getting this question on both the platforms. What are the different formats in which what are the different formats in which books can be written? So these are the different formats. Kindle Amazon, which is so Kindle Amazon specifically uses the .mobi. Then EPUB is what is used. It's a huge market, and like Smashwords and Kobo, all these use the EPUB format. So these two are very popular formats to use. And then there is, of course, iBooks for Apple. Okay. I hope for those who were asking this question, I hope those who were asking questions, I've answered this question for you. Again, Amazon has .mobi, and by the way, Amazon's platform is completely different. It's not the same. So if you have your book in an EPUB format, you will have to change it to .mobi for the Kindle Amazon, by the way. So guys, this is the Henry Harvin course that I was talking about. So this session is being conducted by Henry Harvin, and I have been invited by Henry Harvin to talk to you about how to write this course, how to write an ebook. That's the course that we are doing. So if you have any further questions about the content writing course, feel free to talk to our coordinators who are there on YouTube and the Zoom platform. Before, so I want to share with you some other. So I want to I want to share with you some other editing techniques. So you've written your book, you know how to upload your book on Amazon. You will do it on an .mobi and in EPUB through on any other platform. But there is something that I want to talk to you that nobody else will tell you, and this comes from writing experience. So after you finished writing your book, you need to leave it for a few days. You need to clear your head of the book and then come back to it again. Okay, so this is called resting the manuscript. Okay, I'm going to drink some water. I've been talking for an hour continuously, so I need my water. All right, I'm good to go. All right. So you rest your manuscript for a few days. It could be a week. It could be maybe 2-3 days. But rest your manuscript. Don't just start editing it immediately after you've written it. Clear your mind. Come back to it again. Another thing that you can do is, so once you have cleared your mind and you've come back to it, the next step is typically to listen to your manuscript. Now, most of the updated MS Words have this facility of, you will be able to have MS Word read your text back to you. So that helps in in looking at some of the common glaring mistakes that we made. When someone else is reading it for you, either you have someone else read it out to you if you're not that tech savvy, or you can, there are features in Microsoft Word, or there are some of these softwares that you can install for free, or websites where you can actually put in the text and it will read it back to you. So when you hear your own text, it's very easy to determine some of the glaring mistakes that happen. So that's something that you should definitely look at. Now, the third step is look for the troubling words. The common mistakes that I just showed you, those are the troubling mistakes that you should look out for. Because what typically happens is, and I'll give you more examples. I'm going to put this in the chat. Actually, I'm going to just show it to you guys. So, 1 second. Besides the ones that we've already spoken about, I'm going to share my screen with you one more time right now. And if you can see it, these are the troubling words that you will typically realize that you write, but they do not come up in a grammar check if you run a regular grammar check, because a grammar check will not comprehend it. It will only check spelling and specific grammar. It will not comprehend the situation in which you've put it in. So I suggest that you take a look at some of these. For example, a lot of them I already mentioned it in the slides, but for example, take this one, farther and further. This is something that's very common. Then lay and lie, who and whom. This one is also, when do you use can and when do you use may? A lot and a lot. Okay, those are two different words. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so that's something that you really need to be careful about. Then there is something, so all of us have a tendency of using some common words. For example, a lot of people have the habit of using a certain specific words. That's a part of who you are. That's who you are. That's how you speak. But then that's not how we can write. So those are called crutch words. What you need to do is you need to remove those crutch. First, identify what those crutch words are, and second, you need to remove those crutch words. So there are a lot of different types of software that you can use to remove crutch words, and there are many free websites also. So I will show you one of these free websites that I sometimes use. I hope you can see my screen. So this is called textfixer.com. So it identifies the most common words that I have used. If I have repeated certain words again and again, it will show those words, and it will not just identify those, so it will tell you and how many times I have repeated it. So I've just put in a sample text for you, and then I have run this for me. So it shows me, so the total number of words was 736, and because this is a running blog that I had once written and which I kind of used as an example. So look at these words. So you know what, some of the words which have to be there, I understand, because it's a running blog or a running piece. So running and runners is understood. Even this is a 10K is understood. 10K is 10 kilometers. But look at this word, confidence. 21 times repeated in 750 words. First, mentor, more, ways. I think these words I could definitely cut down on. So do you see from here, this, then this, then this, then this, all these are words that are, there are replacement words that should be used. Now, why is it necessary? Why should we not have words which, so what's wrong if I have the word confidence 21 times? There's nothing wrong in it, right? It affects the readership. So that's where it, it is of value. These kind of websites are of value. So this is something that you should, so look out for your crutch words. That's what you need to do. Of course, you should definitely have a Grammarly installed, and you should definitely run your spell check. Those are definitely things that you should do. One last thing that I want to tell you about editing is a lot of us have a tendency of over editing. Don't go editing on and on and on and on and on. After a point, you have to stop. You have to tell yourself, you know what, this is the best, that is it. But again, you have to come to the point where you say, I cannot do any better than this. But do not get stuck. If you're getting stuck, move on to the next paragraph, move on to the next story, move on to the next chapter. Again, come back to it. So that's something that I wanted to share with you. Now I'm going to go back to the screen that we were at. I'm going to share my screen with you guys again. Okay, so that's the process of writing, editing, and publishing your ebook. I want to show you how to do a cover page, but actually before that, I want to show you how to upload your ebook on Amazon. I think that's something that you really should know. Okay. Okay, now for the purposes of reference, I have created an Amazon account. Now you have to create your Amazon, you have to create your kdp.amazon.com account, okay? And then you have to fill out all the details. They will ask you for different details. And you have to update all your details so this is after I have created the account. So you also have, the first step is always anyways to create an account. So this is the Kindle Direct Publishing. So if you want to publish your book on Amazon, you first have to create a Kindle Direct Publishing account. And then you will have to start uploading your book. And so these are some of the, so once you've created your account and put in all the details, by the way, they'll ask you for taxation information also, which you will have to upload. It's more of a formality. You've just to put in your digital signature and stuff like that, and you are good to go. It's a very simple process. Because I had published my second book on Amazon Kindle first, and then I went on to do it with a publisher later. I still have the Kindle rights on Amazon Kindle, and I must tell you, it's a great platform for a first-time author, because I get payments pretty much every month, and it's a very transparent process. There is no scope of you not getting paid. When you do a Kindle Direct Publishing, then it's also available on different platforms. I just want to show you how the book will, if once your book is published, this is how your book will appear. So this is my second book, which is on Kindle and on paperback also. For now, because all paperback sales are stopped, so it doesn't show the paperback back. But then this is my the Europe for a Bargain Kindle page. So if you see that these, so this is typically how the book will appear. If you click on this, it will take you to the it will show you some of the pages, and you can read it as a sample. So your book will also appear like this. Okay, guys, I'm just showing this as a sample. You will have to write the USP of your book here. See, it's a short USP that I have written, and based on that, a lot of people read. And then look at my book. It's still in the top 100 on the Kindle store. Okay, it's in the travel section. 110 on the humor section. And this book was published in 2016. So I'm going to show you right now how to upload a Kindle book. So obviously you have to first write the book, and then you have to first write the book, and then you have to edit it, and you have to go through the entire grind that we just spoke about. So you write it, edit it, you have it in a docx format, and then it will ask you for it. It will so the Amazon format is very, very simple. I really liked it, and it was no trouble for me at all when I started, and that was when I had absolutely no idea about how to do this. So this is what you need to do. So it will ask you for some details. So assuming that you have your book written and ready in a Word docx format, okay, this is, then the next step is this. Okay, so you put in the details, the book title, subtitles, and this is optional. Then of course the author's name, and then you will, this description that you put in is the description that you will see here. You see the description here? That's the description that goes here. Okay, and then you have to click this, that you own the copyright. Okay, now here are the keywords. This is very important, guys. So here are the keywords that you will put in. For example, in a book like a travel humor book, okay, if for this, the keywords will probably be Europe travel, holiday, vacation, travels across Europe, group travel, then humor, travel, those kind. So considering, and why do we need to put in these? Because based on what search criteria, the keywords that you put in here, it will come up in the Amazon searches. So when someone searches for a travel humor book, if someone is looking, for example, books on travel to Europe, then my book will come up on Amazon. This is, by the way, only for Amazon. This keyword search is only for Amazon. This is not a Google search keyword. This is only for Amazon. Okay, and then you set categories. What are set categories? So the categories are so I put it in travel section and I put it in humor section. So for example, yours is a historical fiction. You will put it in history and fiction, that kind. Okay, and let me just go through this, guys, and then I'll take your questions. And then age group, you have to mention. If you want to put it on pre-order, you can mention it. By the way, Kindle gives you the option of reserving to exclusively publishing on KDP Select. Now, what is KDP Select? KDP, so basically when you publish on Amazon, just like that, you can also publish on multiple other platforms using the EPUB platform. So you can simultaneously publish in Smashwords or Kobe, Barnes and Nobles, all these different Google Play, all these different platforms you can use, and Amazon also. But Amazon also gives you the option of exclusively doing it with Amazon, where you can get up to 75% of the returns. That's when you select KDP, that's when you get up till 75% of the return. So whatever your book sales are, so if you think your books, if your book is priced at 100 rupees, for example, then you will get up to 75 rupees if you are on KDP Select. If not, then you get 35% and onwards. So I'm just giving you the gist of this. I suggest you go to kdp.amazon.com or Kindle Direct Publishing. You can see it here, and it will kdp.amazon.com, and you will get all the information. So that's something that I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, let me take up some questions that I am seeing now. Okay. So someone is asking the question, I'm writing a story, however, I'm not really good with grammar and punctuation. Is there any tool for it as well? Yes, so there are various tools, and we have our Henry Harvin panelist also writing answers for the same. So yeah, so there are a lot of software tools which are available. You can look them up also, or you can talk to our Henry Harvin associates and they will give you a detailed understanding of that. Okay, so I was telling you about how to go about uploading your book. I just showed you guys how to upload your book on Amazon. Now I also, so there is one thing guys that nobody else will tell you, again, that I am telling you. Oh my god, I'm giving you all the secrets of what writers do. Nothing like that. Anyway, so what you need is an ISBN. After you've written your book and after you've edited your book, before you upload your book on Amazon or anywhere else, it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. You can or you may not have an ISBN. What is an ISBN? An ISBN is a unique number, like like our Aadhaar cards. So the Aadhaar card defines us, right? Who we are. It's our identity proof. The book's identity proof is an ISBN. Okay, so it's preferable, in order to safeguard the copyright of your book, you must have an ISBN number. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you how you can have an ISBN. I've created an ISBN account for this purpose, and let me show you. Let me show you. Yeah, I hope you're able to see my screen right now, guys. Okay. Okay, this is the official site where you can get your ISBNs from. A lot of agencies will try to sell you ISBNs. Guys, ISBN is not sold. It is not supposed to be sold. You can get it for free. Please be aware of that. And this is where you can create your own ISBN number. Again, like the Amazon Kindle, you must first create your profile. And then there are these some mandatory fields that you need to fill up, which means that you need to have your cover page ready before you should get your ISBN. Before you get your ISBN, you should have your cover page ready. Okay, and the brief description ready. So if you see these small asterisks, these are the ones which definitely need to be filled. So you need to have the name, title, place of publication, edition, it will be first edition, pages of the book, short description of the book, and then you will have you have to upload your the cover page and the ISBN. This is not compulsory, only the cover page, less than 100 KB, and then you will have to have a title verso. Now look up title verso, because title verso is typically on the copyright page. The information that goes in is typically what title verso consists of, and then you have to apply for it. So this is how you apply for your ISBN. Okay, I hope I've given you some additional clarity and insight in that. Now we were talking about creating a cover page, right? So let me now show you how to create a cover page. Okay. So this is canva.com. This is a website called canva.com where you can create your own cover pages for anything. You can design logos and all that also. So this is where you can do this. I'm going to just briefly show you a design and how to do that. Obviously, you have to create your account. Again, it's free, guys, so you don't even have to pay for it. And later, if you want advanced designs and all that, there are basic payment mechanisms also that you can use. All right, so let me just briefly show you how to create a design. So you click on create design, and I want to, so we are designing a book cover, right? So here you go. So I am working on a collection of short stories. It's called Damaged. So let me try and so these are the different templates that are there. I'm going to try and create a cover, but I'm not going to be using that cover. I'm going to get it professionally done. So there are free covers also, and then there are covers that you can buy also. So for example, it's my book is a collection of bizarre stories. I have a publishing deadline also, and it's supposed to release by the end of June. So hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers. So I'm going to pick up one of these, this one. Yeah, I'm going to pick up this one. I like this cover. So all you have to do is, I hope you guys are following. I'm going to change my name here. And I'm going to write my name here. Okay, and I'm going to write the subtitle here. I'm just changing text right now. Do you see this? And this is the name of my book. So if I want, I can actually just use this cover. You know, this is it. That's all that is required. Do you see? Now all I have to do is download it, and it will download it in the form that I want to download it. It's as simple as that, guys. All right. So that's how you create your, so you are getting equipped to not just create your write your own book, but you also be able to create your own cover page. You will not have to depend on anyone else. So this is how you will, so I just showed you how to do this. All right, and you can also do logos designs the similar way. Or there are other sites like this graphicsprints.com. This is where you can, this is also another site that you can use for creating your logos. There are various options. All you have to is select and then enter your business name, select the image, choose the logos, and then, you know, get it in the format that you want, and click on download your logo here. That's it, as simple as that. Okay, I just showed you many different editing and proofing techniques. So okay, so that's something that you need to do. What else should I share with you? Just give me a second, guys. I need to understand if what else I'm missing out on. Okay. Sometimes what happens is that you make some you're doing research, and sometimes you've copied and pasted information. Now, plagiarism is a big problem in the publishing industry, and in order to avoid plagiarism, you will have to make sure that that no content in your book is plagiarized. A good way to verify the content is you can use the plagiarism checkers. So this is one of the sites where you can use the you can put your document in. So you put your entire document and you scan the document for any plagiarized content. If there is any content which is plagiarized, it will show the content which is plagiarized and where it is plagiarized from, and then you can change it. So all this information of how you can change plagiarized content and all that, Henry Harvin does it in the course that it does, the 4-day creative writing course that it does. So you guys should check that out with the coordinators, and they'll give you more information on that. So these are some of the websites that you can use if you want to understand or if you want to if you want to see how if you want to check plagiarized, if you want to check your content for plagiarism. So these are some of the websites that you can take a look at. I'm going to wait here for a couple of seconds so that you guys can make notes. Copyscape. Okay, by the way, some of these are paid sites and some of them are free. So Copyscape is a paid software. So. Okay, how do you convert? Now, someone was asking this question also. How do you convert your document to your ebook format? These are some of the common tools or softwares that you can use to convert from document to PDF or the ebook format. So these days, it's actually very easy. It kind of makes it really, really easy. So, and a lot of it is free. So you can just look through some of these, and I hope you guys are making notes of these. So you really need to, because this will be of help to you. All right, I hope you've taken notes. Someone was asking about multimedia and design and graphic novels earlier. I think these are some of the tools that you can use. Book Creator, Blurb, KDP's Kids Book Creator, Apple iBook Author. These are the different platforms that you can use also for creating multimedia designs and all that. So this is something also of importance. I remember someone was asking me this question earlier. Okay, I hope you've taken notes, guys. Okay, so again, someone was asking me, I remember a lot of people had questions about this. What are the major distributors or realtors of ebooks? Please make a note of this, guys. This is very important. After you write your book, after you've created your cover page, you need to know what ebook distributors or retailers you can approach. Okay, now moving on, I hope you guys have been able to take so let me take a few questions here. So someone is asking, as far as I know, the cover designs are done in InDesign. So are you sure we create what we create on this will not show as copyright? So guys, there are some free templates which can be used, which are shown as free, and some which are premium templates. So ones which are available for free are will not have any copyright issues. That's why they are for free. But if you you really should be, like, for example, from wherever you're taking these cover design images, you must make sure that you have the copyright to use it. So there are different types of copyrights. There are copyrights where you cannot use it for commercial purposes. Commercial purpose, a book selling will be a commercial purposes. Then there is a copyright where whatever is available to you, you can use it freely. So make sure that whatever image that you are choosing for your cover story can be are freely accessible to everybody. Even for commercial purposes. So that's something that you need to. But then the ones that that are available freely in Canva and all that, you can use it and there won't be any problem. That's why they are available for free. Anything which is priced, you have to pay for it separately, and that's where, like, for example, on Amazon also, there are you can create cover designs separately. They will give you, by the way, there are specific resolutions in which you have to upload your cover page. So most important is you must first check the criteria of submission of cover page on Amazon before you start creating a cover page on your own. So I hope I have been able to answer Jairaj's question also. How can you check the plagiarism of our cover pages? I think I just answered that question. Okay. Vijay Kumar has asked a question: how can content writing skills be helpful in creating knowledge-based articles? I think one of our Henry Harvin associates will be able to answer that better. So I will leave it for them to answer that question. Now, I'm going to move on to the last bit now and just show you briefly how you can I will show you how you can, promote the book that you have written or any content. So you can obviously promote it on social media. These are the different promotion mediums that you can use. So you can, do it through your blog, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram these days. Instagram is the most popular way of, promotions for anything. Most popularly used are Instagram and Facebook still. LinkedIn, of course, through natural SEO and SEM. What is SEO and SEM? SEO is search engine optimization, SEM is search engine marketing, and all these terminologies, you can look it up on your own, read a little bit about. This is more an introduction session so it gives you a little bit of understanding of what these terminologies are and how you can incorporate them in your writing so that your book is made more visible. So just look these terminologies up, or again connect with your Henry Harvin coordinators, and they'll be able to help you with that. Okay, someone was asking me about blogs. So Wix.com and WordPress. These are two places where you can start creating your blogs. Both, by the way, are free. The only problem with a WordPress account, not really a problem, because it's the condition that comes with a Wix.com or a WordPress.com is that the domain name will have WordPress in it and Wix in it. If you take up a paid site, which is a very nominal cost again, there will be different formats that you will be able to use. So look up WordPress and look up Wix, and that will give you a lot of insight about how you can create professional looking blogs and how you can promote your work through your blogs. If you've written a book, and then you can promote it through your blog on Wix or on WordPress. Okay, so these are some of the ways in which you can promote your work. And someone was also, there was this question that I saw someone asked about, how can you earn, make money through different projects. So these are some of the websites which you can associate yourself with. And I sometimes use Freelancer to give cover pages and all that. So I am a client, and I'm an employee at Freelancer. And so I can definitely recommend Freelancer to you. Some of these other places are also pretty good, and they're actually quite reliable also. So you can, you have to share your bank account details and all that stuff so that they can put in the money. So basically you can write different stuff. You can freelance for different organizations and all that. You can write, you can be a ghostwriter, you can write speeches, you can write for newspapers, e-magazines and all of that. And you can make money. And the way it works is that they have and they have an escrow account, which is how the finances are dealt with, and that's why your money is definitely, it's ensured that you will definitely get paid. So that's the end of our session. And I hope I have been able to give you some insight for how to write your book. I hope you will now start writing your ebooks, and by the time the lockdown ends, you will have your script ready, or at least start getting your short stories start exploring it, and it will give you a lot of insight. I know that there are a lot of questions that you guys still have. This has been a long session, and I hope I've been able to give you a lot of insight. If you do have any questions, please write to Henry Harvin guys, and they will be able to forward them to me, or if they will, or they can answer the questions themselves. I'll like you guys to, on a parting note, I want you guys to use this lockdown time to do a lot of reading, because unless you are a good reader, you can never become a good writer. Having said that, thank you so much for attending my session, guys, and it was awesome connecting with all of you. I am so thrilled that so many people connected at so many different levels. You guys had such interesting questions that you asked me, and I'm really, really optimistic that this is going to be your first step towards writing your first book. Look me up, read my books also, and I look forward to feedback from all of you. Thank you so much, and have a great night. Good night.